So if you know me, you know I'm a Clippers fan. Okay. I've never tried to hide that. I'm a Clippers fan. I cheer for the Clippers, but it doesn't mean I can't enjoy what the Thunder are doing. It doesn't mean I enjoy when the Thunder lose. And that's where I want to start because honesty matters, right? In this space, when we're talking about games and we're breaking things down, I don't particularly enjoy being right when it comes to Oklahoma City losing. Just because I picked the Thunder to lose doesn't make me a hater. I think anybody who follows me kind of knows that. I believe in this Thunder team. I believe in what they're building. I believe they're one of the defining teams of this era. But I've also learned something in the hard way over the years of breaking down sporting events. When the numbers, the trends, and the situation all line up, you don't get to argue with them just because your heart may want a different result. And Tuesday night was one of those nights. San Antonio didn't just beat Oklahoma City, they exposed a perfect storm. And while the final score, 130-110, was a Spurs win, it looked more like a track meet than the grinded out game that the data initially suggested that we were going to have. The core read was still dead on. San Antonio was the right side, not just to cover, but to win this game outright. The fatigue factor, it mattered. You could see it in Oklahoma City's legs, especially late. After that physical battle with Memphis the night before, the Thunder, they simply didn't have the same pop defensively. The fourth quarter told the story. San Antonio outscored Oklahoma City 43-28, turning what had been a competitive game into a kind of a white flag of surrender type finish. And this wasn't random. This was context meeting reality. Remember, we talked beforehand about San Antonio having a blueprint for Oklahoma City and how it's impossible to ignore that. That was the Spurs' second win over the Thunder in 11 days. De'Aaron Fox didn't have to score a ton of points to control this game. Harrison Barnes quietly gave them 20 veteran points. Stephon Castle, he was the tone setter here. 24 points, downhill pressure, living in the paint, exactly the kind of guard Oklahoma City has struggled with when their perimeter resistance slips just even a little bit. But what really stood out, though, was what didn't happen. Wemby finished with 0 blocks. It snapped a 101 game streak. 0. And San Antonio still won this game by 20. So that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about how deep and versatile this Spurs roster has become, because this wasn't a one-man show. It was system pressure, depth, and confidence. Now, we did miss one big thing here on Tuesday night. We missed the total. That game flew past 234.5 because San Antonio shot 54% from the floor and turned it into a pace and space type showcase. Even though Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein both played, Oklahoma City still couldn't slow down the Spurs bench, especially Keldon Johnson's 25-point outburst. That happens. You adjust, you log it, and then you move forward. Which brings us to Thursday, Christmas Day. And this is where things get really interesting. Because if Tuesday was about context, Thursday is about response. This is the marquee matchup on the NBA's Christmas slate for a reason. Oklahoma City comes in at 26-4, undefeated at home. San Antonio 22-7, confident, physical, and let's be honest, feeling itself after what just happened. The league wanted this game on this day because it tells us something one way or the other. And the market response tells a story all by itself. Despite San Antonio winning by 20 just 48 hours ago, when it comes to this game tip-off, Oklahoma City's laying 9.5 points at home. Something we like to say a lot. That's not an accident. That's not disrespect to the Spurs. That's a statement about how much the league and the odds makers trust what the Thunder are, who the Thunder are in their own building. Paycom Center has been a fortress. 14 games, 14 wins, no drama, no wobble. And here's the part people overlook. Oklahoma City is a pride-driven team. They don't spiral, they respond. That revenge narrative, it's not just talk show filler in this sense. NBA stars remember moments. SGA remembers moments. And being humbled on national television, well, that tends to sharpen your focus really fast. I would expect Oklahoma City to come out swinging. I would expect them to be early, aggressive, and with intent. So let's talk about how this game actually changes tactically. I think you got to start with Wemby, right? He's still on a minutes restriction. He's hovering around 18 to 24 minute range. And he works, he's working his way back from calf issues. On Tuesday, that didn't matter because San Antonio's bench carried the lead. On the road and a loud building, that margin is going to shrink. And if the Spurs feel pressure early, they may have to lean on Wemby more than what they'd like to. That's where Chet Holmgren becomes pivotal. If Chet is healthy and able to move freely, this becomes a true battle of length. Instead of San Antonio dictating the interior, Oklahoma City doesn't need Chet to dominate. They need him to deter. They need him to alter angles. They need him to make the paint uncomfortable. Then there's the backcourt chess match. Tuesday night, De'Aaron Fox and Castle, they lived in the lane. Oklahoma City's perimeter defense, especially from Lou Dort and Alex Caruso, was uncharacteristically passive. So that won't happen again. Expect a much more aggressive approach. In football, you'd say high blitzes, right? Early traps, forcing Fox to give the ball up sooner and making San Antonio's, secondary shooters prove that they can get into a rhythm. That's going to be a subtle but a massive shift. Because Oklahoma City's defense, when locked in, doesn't rely on gambling. It relies on timing, and timing shows up after losses. Then there's SGA. He's averaging 33 points per game over the last 10 games. He was efficient on Tuesday night, 33 points, but he didn't get help. At home on Christmas Day with the building fully engaged, history suggests something closer to a 40-point night is on the table for him. The key for Shai isn't the shot making, it's the free throw line. If he gets there early, it slows San Antonio's transition game and forces them into half-court defense. That's where Oklahoma City thrives. Now, zoom out. Oklahoma City, after a double-digit loss, has been excellent. They tighten defensively. They simplify offensively. Opponents typically score 6 to 8 points below their averages in the follow-up game. That's not coincidence. That is a habit. And Christmas games, well, they tend to be kind of weird. You got extra early tip-offs, you got extra pageantry. Sometimes cold shooting starts. Games with totals north of 230 historically lean under for that reason alone. Now, San Antonio, to their credit, isn't scared of road environments. They're 10-5 away from home. They won't fold, and this won't be a walkover, but this number feels big because it's supposed to. The market is daring you to take San Antonio after watching them dominate. That's usually when Oklahoma City reminds everyone why they've been so consistent. So this isn't about erasing Tuesday. It's about correcting Tuesday. I would expect from Oklahoma City sharper rotations, better transition defense, more physicality on the perimeter. I would expect a first quarter statement that sets the tone for the rest of the afternoon. And when you strip it all down, the most reliable stat in this matchup from Tuesday night, it's the Thunder's 14-0 home record. That's the foundation. Everything else kind of builds around that, or I guess builds on top of that. So here's where I land on this game. I think Oklahoma City responds. They control pace. They defend with purpose. They get contributions beyond SGA. And they remind San Antonio and the rest of the league, for that matter, that one bad night doesn't define who you really are. My final score prediction here, Oklahoma City 121, San Antonio 110. And again, don't be surprised if the tone is set early, very early. Christmas Day at home, coming off of a loss. That's when great teams make sure that the message is loud and the message is clear.